This video is brought to you by ChartMogul. ChartMogul automatically generates all the SaaS subscription analytics you need to run your business like a pro. Use ChartMogul to measure, understand, and grow your recurring revenue. Go to chartmogul.com/Slidebean to get a $50 a month discount on your first 12 months. Imagine facing a lawsuit for $75 trillion. As a reference, the US GDP in 2019 was $21 trillion. So someone pissed off the wrong crowd, and that someone was Limewire. It was one of the most popular P2P clients in the 2000s. It allowed millions of people, not me, I never downloaded illegal music, to download music, images, software, and videos, but its legacy is of course tainted with darkness. So what happened to Limewire? We'll tell you all about it in this episode of Company Forensics from our new Company Forensics studio. Mark Gorton is a creative man. In 7th grade, for example, he created a scale model of his school because he wanted to. And music wasn't in his sights. Instead, his background was a mix of engineering, trading, and investment. His relationship with file transfers came as a business opportunity, but let's quickly talk about this peer-to-peer system, or P2P. A P2P connects two computers directly. In the case of file transfers, it's so users can share files with others, with your peers. But for Gorton, it was more than file transfers. He envisioned an entire marketplace, thanks to how P2P worked. So he founded Lime Group to build a corporate server using Gnutella. No, not that. Gnutella is a protocol with a straightforward idea. A series of queries and responses allows for individual computers to talk to each other. So there's no need for central servers. So it was the first large, decentralized P2P network. But there was an added benefit. Gnutella allowed to build platforms over it, which was the Lime Group's idea, and so they created Limewire. And let's be clear, in the late 90s and 2000s, many people used Gnutella as a base, but Limewire took it one step further. First of all, Limewire was easy to use, search, choose, and click. Presto. But even though it would become the most used P2P software, its start wasn't easy. After Limewire launched in 2000, 90% of the downloads failed because of fake user servers. And to improve this, engineers introduced verification protocols, making downloads easier and more reliable. But Limewire did little to improve on content control, and this would bite back. So things were going well, but at a snail's pace until the Napster lawsuit. Go watch our video on Napster. The media loved covering Napster, so as the news blasted viewers with images of Napster, more than one became curious about downloading and P2P systems. Plus, the world was changing. Even the New York Times agreed that Napster would only add fuel to the fire. People wanted to consume music more freely, even if it meant being illegal. Then, of course, there's the other ingredient, MP3s. The format was revolutionizing the music industry with high quality and small file sizes. Limewire had it all for a triumphant rise to the top. And the recipe was easy. After you clicked and the bar hit 100%, you had whatever you had requested. Well, not quite. People loved Limewire. By 2015, there were 1.7 million users downloading music and videos and software. The company had even created a pro version which promised faster downloads and more connections for a one-time payment of $29. Anyway, the program was fast, easy to use, and with tons of stuff to download. As a result, Limewire became an escape for teenagers who spent hours downloading endless gigabytes of content. But in a sense, one of Limewire's greatest features became its biggest flaw. Remember how we spoke about control? Well, Limewire had no capacity for fingerprinting and filtering content. And for most users, this was a significant problem. You downloaded an album thinking it was from this band, and it turned out it wasn't. But hey, at least you got to know some new bands. Well, but the problem is much more severe than just mislabeled music. There was almost no filtering and control, and users could access millions of random servers worldwide. So hackers, of course, took advantage. They littered the Limewire ecosystem with viruses, wares, and bugs. So there was no guarantee the next download wouldn't kill your computer. Limewire's system was so loose that you could download Limewire Pro within Limewire for free. And the only problem was that it could end up being a virus. And this wasn't the worst thing about Limewire. It also became littered with pornography, including children. So you could be downloading what you think is your favorite movie, but instead end up in possession of child pornography. Many people ended up in jail, and while some claimed they were ignorant, many local and national laws insisted that computer ignorance was no excuse. But Limewire itself floated in a legal cloud of uncertainty. There wasn't a clear answer. Was Limewire responsible? Moreover, the nature of P2P meant the company had little control. Ironically, it wasn't pornography that caused Limewire's demise. It's heartbreaking to hear that this content carried on in Limewire until it shut down. Authorities made considerable efforts to stop this, but they could only track individuals instead of an entire P2P system. But first, we must go back to 2006. That year, the Record Industry Association of America, or RAAA, sued Limewire. If this name sounds familiar, it's because they also sued Napster. The RAAA claimed that Limewire made illegally downloading music easier for millions of users, and they wanted to stop all those people from having access to their creative material. Now, this story is very similar to other cases, such as Napster, but where this one gets interesting is, in 2007, Mark Gorton reached out to the record companies to sell their songs through Limewire by blocking those songs and charging for them. But the plan, of course, backfired. First, the judge, Kemba Wood, ruled that by blocking and charging for the songs, he was actually evidencing that Limewire was illegal. Not a brilliant move. Also, the RIAA didn't want anything to do with a program that flooded computers with viruses and wares, so they fired back. Now, the music industry wanted to make illegal downloads harder to come by, and their strategy was simple: attack the source, and the evidence was there. Limewire increased its revenue from $6 million to $20 million in 2006, so they profited while the RIAA and its companies lost money. And let's remember, the RIAA isn't small. So once this organization sued you, you either settled and tried to go legit. Limewire tried the second, to no avail. And from a legal standpoint, the RIAA was right. Judge Wood agreed. The downloads were illegal. But then they went kind of crazy. They claimed that every copyright violation had cost them $150,000 and that Limewire had distributed 11,000 songs illegally. Add all that up, you get 75 trillion. And as you can imagine, Judge Wood called it absurd, and we agree, it's just an impossible amount. But you know what's not impossible? It's keeping track of your business. And if you want to squeeze every bit of value from your subscription data, there's ChartMogul. We've been using ChartMogul for over 5 years to track the performance of our SaaS business. And if you haven't already, I highly recommend you watch the video that we produced in partnership with them, Customer Churn, How to Save Your Startup. This video dives into what churn is and why it can be deadly for a SaaS business, as we know all too well. Thankfully, a tool like ChartMogul can save your business by providing you with incredibly valuable insights about customer churn so that you can quickly reduce it by addressing the root of the problem. ChartMogul is free for any company with under $10,000 in MRR. If you have over 10K MRR, you can get a $50 a month credit for 12 months by going to chartmogul.com/Slidebean. Once again, a big thanks to the ChartMogul team for sponsoring this video. And then back to that crazy lawsuit. Since 75 trillion was absurd, both sides had to compromise. In 2010, the judge ruled that Limewire had to cease activities and pay for damages, but not the 75 trillion. In the end, Limewire settled with the record industry for $100 million. They, of course, shut down operations, but they left their mark. Just weeks after the lawsuit, a group of hackers created a forked version of Limewire called Limewire Pirate Edition. And after the lawsuit ended, the hacker group Anonymous threatened to attack the RIAA's website. And that's how much people cared about free music. The impact that Limewire and other platforms had on how we consume content remains to this day. It helped shape the future of entire industries, but it was far too flawed. People will continue to find creative ways to download stuff, and indeed, if they want to know about the origins, they'll look back at history, and they're going to see Limewire. Thanks a lot for watching, guys. Make sure to drop us comments and hit that subscribe button if you enjoyed the video. We have new Company Forensics episodes coming every single week, so stay tuned for that. We'll see you next one.